Hello, and welcome to Nerds of the Old Republic, where we discuss a different work of nerdy science fiction or fantasy and pair it with a related cocktail or drink. I'm Adam.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Mike.
Today we're discussing Netflix's adaptation of Andrzej Sapkowski's The Witcher series, and we are pairing it with a lovely tankard of this strong ale. Sean, you were the one who brought this to our attention. What did you bring for us?
Well, I brought you one of my favorites, gents. This is New Holland Brewery's Dragon's Milk, which in itself is a fantastic fucking beer. But this happens to be Dragon's Milk Reserve, 2022 Reserve 1, to be precise. Which I didn't even know they did this stuff until I went to go pick this up today. I'm like, well, I'm going to bring these guys some Dragon's Milk. And the fine worker there at the local beer dispensary pointed me towards this one, and I'm really glad that he did, because this description sounds pretty fantastic. Would you like me to read it to you?
Oh, yes, please. And maybe in the voice of... No, I'm just kidding. You can say it in your own voice, but yeah, you were describing it before, and it sounded so complex.
It's, well, the description for the tasting, or the flavor notes is rye barrel-aged stout with cinnamon, toasted chilies, and vanilla extract, which just sounds delightful. And then the story here, the legend on the back says that Dragon's Milk Reserve is a treasure trove for the adventurous spirit. Each entry in the Reserve series is crafted to push the boundaries of our signature stout by exploring unique ingredients and barrels. An epic journey awaits.
An epic journey.
Wow, that sounds not only perfect for this cast, but also like you would hear it at the start of a 1-900 number.
It's still going.
Oh, sorry to cut you off.
Wow, there's more.
This adventure begins with a slumber in rye whiskey barrels, selected to impart a wealth of earthy and spicy notes to this brew. Bold flavors of cinnamon and toasted chilies light the way to a sweet vanilla finish, completing the quest. Raise a glass to victory! To victory!
No,
to victory!
Right, yeah.
Cheers!
Cheers, gentlemen.
All right.
That is magnificent.
Oh, yes.
That is very, very good.
Oh, yes.
That definitely has, like, layers of taste that come at you.
It's complex. I'm smelling it, and I'm like, man, that smells almost like Cinnamon Toast Crunch in the nose.
Mm-hmm. You know, I was surprised how much cinnamon came through, actually.
Yeah. And I wouldn't think that I'd want a beer with a cinnamon flavor note to it, but damn, that's good.
That is really good. That is a sit in a very cozy chair in front of a fire and brewed kind of a beer.
Oh, yeah. This beer is not going to be drunk very fast.
No, this is going to be the rest of my night. And, you know, I would sit in that warm chair with the fire with, like, a wolf's pelt wrapped around me. Leather skin book in my hand.
Contemplating the old days.
That's right. The old gods would have.
Damn, dude.
Oh, that is so good.
It's
a nice thick mouthfeel, too.
The spice in it, too, really balances the cinnamon nicely.
Yep. Yeah,
and vanilla.
Sometimes these like real high gravity beers get real alcohol-y tasting, or they taste like too malt forward, so like very sweet and syrupy. And the profile on this is really, really well balanced. I'm really impressed.
Well, New Holland people, if you're listening to this cast, which we're sure you are,
for sure.
You know, we're always looking for sponsorships, and if you'd like to send us some samples of your newest reserves and flavors, we would love to have them.
I believe we have a rare few openings in our sponsorships at the moment, so you should probably get in on that.
These opportunities don't happen often.
No. I mean, we have turned down some esteemed companies and people. We were just talking about the problems we've been having with Bill Murray, actually.
Yes. One of these days.
Yeah,
we'll get to you, Bill. Be patient, all right?
All right. While we're sipping on our drinks here and enjoying it, I just wanted to say thanks to everybody who listens to us, and a big thank you to everyone who helps us rank well on Good Pods among book and media-related podcasts. You know, the community over there has been real good to us, and we just wanted to say thank you. If you enjoy our show topics, and the books we discuss and our sterling humor over a tanker of ale, as we do, please follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Feel free to say hello. Our handle is @NerdsOfOldRepublic. If you want to hear what we think about other nerd-centric topics, don't forget to check out our More Than Just Books blog on Podbean, and of course, it always helps to rate and review us wherever you listen to the podcasts. It makes a big difference in people being able to find us and growing our little community of nerds. We'd appreciate that so much. Mike has actually been reaching out to the socials just to see what people thought of the material that we're reading, or talking about, I should say, because we're talking about the Netflix Witcher series. And people had some thoughts, actually, which is good because I felt really late to the party. I felt like I had missed like the boom coming into it, but there were still some people finishing up season 2, which finished in 2020, actually just recently, very recently.
Yeah.
So, and some talks about the video games too, as I looked through the social stuff. So, for example, Pedestrian at Best says about the video games, the third game is still the best way to experience the world. The Last Wish is a great collection of adventures, so I feel like I need to go back and play those video games. There's a new one coming out, too.
There is.
So
I think they're available on the Nintendo Switch. Weird for a family
little bit
like game, but I mean, it's also I can play it in bed before I go to sleep, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly, because you can have the little screen up with the Joy-Cons and everything. Yeah. I have this problem with video games where if I start playing video games, I have a tough time stopping them before bed, and I'll never fall asleep.
Oh, man. Wait till summer break.
I've reached that tipping point.
I've stopped playing video games when the guy stopped moving from the left side of the screen to the right and stopped jumping over the bad guys to kill them.
But they still make side-scrollers, Mike. You could find them.
So, okay.
Yeah,
Good. Maybe I'll have to get back into it then.
Yep.
You'd be surprised what they make out. There's a lot of... The video game world is way beyond what it was when we were kids.
I do understand that they make the classic Nintendo games again, or the Nintendo system or something.
Indeed. They got like a little thing you can plug into your TV. It comes with controllers.
Great. If I can get back into
35 games.
Blades of Steel and Super Tecmo Bowl, then...
You named both of the games that actually talk to you on the old Nintendo. Blades of Steel. And was it Tecmo Bowl? Yep,
exactly.
And it was down and B. Every play, down and B.
Yep. You know what's really sad is there's a local card and collectible memorabilia store, Dave and Adams, that we'll go visit on Friday nights because their video games are free. And my 6-year-old consistently beats me on Marvel versus Capcom.
Oh, that's... Damn, dude.
And you know what? I've been playing this thing for like a decade. I know how to play this game. I know how to activate the Infinity Stones, and he's just mashing buttons. And I'm like, Elliot,
damn,
you know what this is? This is a button masher. And he's like, I know, I just hit the buttons.
Well, kudos to your kid for figuring that out. So yeah.
Yep.
I always wow my children with rounds of Galaga. I cannot go buy a Galaga machine without dropping a quarter and setting the high score. It's sort of like a curse.
Mm.
Yeah. Love that fucking game.
One last comment. I mentioned Thaddeus Howes on the last cast, and here you are coming back around again. They say, The Witcher gets behind the strength and charisma of its lead, Henry Cavill. They enjoy that too, but puts a lot of weight on Henry Cavill. And I without skipping ahead too much, I agree, because those are the scenes I enjoyed.
True, Thad. It's a good observation. And I have to say that Henry Cavill's just incredible physique can handle that weight.
That's right. That man's got shoulders for weeks, and everything can rest on there. Unlike, some previous, Disney series that we talked about where the main character was supposed to be really badass and keep your helmet on the whole time, and you live in a Bacta tank.
We're just not going to let that one go.
No, right? I'm bitter. All right, fine, I'll move on. So, all right, I'll leave it be. So, if we're talking about the Witcher series on Netflix, it's really interesting in that there's a lot of... I went down a couple big rabbit holes, but before we get into that, did you guys have any history with this? Like, did you watch it before? I know we read the books, but I don't know if you read the books before the series, watching it or not.
I had not read the books or watched the series, so both were new to me completely.
I watched it on Netflix only because of some of the nerdy websites I frequent talking highly of it, and I thought, well, it's something to watch. And then my wife got interested in it, so we started making it like a, couples watch kind of a thing. And
nice.
Obviously there's parts that she enjoys and there's parts that I enjoy, and it was fun.
Narratively speaking.
Of course, right.
Yeah.
It's the storyline, really, that we were hooked by.
Oh, I'm sure. And the, Eastern European fables and mythology that get woven in.
Oh, I love looking for those types of little, subtle Easter eggs as things go through. And just, once you find one, it's like a gem,
Oh, sure. All right, a little bit of background then. If you're not familiar with the series, the Netflix series The Witcher premiered in 2019. There's been 2 seasons available. The second season came available in 2021. Each of the 2 seasons have 8 episodes, so it is a fast watch. The episodes are top out at like 65 minutes, so if you got an hour, you can do that. The series features Henry Cavill, Anya Chalotra, and Freya Allen. Notably, Season 1, Episode 3 features the first story from The Last Wish, which was on our last podcast as our read. That's from Andrzej Sapkowski, and we see Geralt fighting the Striga, and that's really one of the main connections there. So I know we've read the novel, and we watched the series. How far did you guys get in the series?
Finished it.
Yeah. Well, you had been watching it with your wife, too.
Right,
So.
exactly, yeah.
Mike?
I finished season 1 about 2 hours ago.
Nice. So you're very fresh.
Yeah. Yes.
I did not finish season 1.
Do we have an anti-bell? Is there like a reverse bell sound?
So I came into this expecting to... I think my problem was I wanted to like it as much as the book.
Mm-hmm.
And when I didn't get the storyline that I expected in the order, or when I wasn't watching Henry Cavill fight, I felt like I wasn't interested. I had a tough time focusing on the story. It was even more episodic than the book we read. And so, which I know, okay, it's a TV series, it should have episodes, but I felt like even in the episodes, there were like these little like interwoven stories that for some reason or another, I couldn't be bothered to connect in my mind as I watched. So I got through episode 3. So to be clear, episode 3.
Come on, Adam, just do it.
I finished episode 3 and that was it.
I need something for the advertising role here. Just do it. Say it. Unleash. Do it.
Fuck you, Netflix,
There it
The
is.
Witcher. You're boring. Okay? You're boring.
Oh.
Except for the fight scenes,
Hot
which
take.
I got a lot to say about.
Yeah.
You know, so I just don't know where to go from there. I had a tough time even writing the outline because I was just like, okay, cool. Based in the world, you fight some monsters a third of the time. It felt like there was a lot of traveling on horseback. A fucking lot of traveling on horseback.
Yeah, I gotta say that the hater department isn't hiring right now, but I think we might have to make room for you because you're really bringing it.
Yeah, if this is your first podcast with us, thank you. Awesome to have you. And Sean is usually the hater.
Yeah.
Mike and I are usually the like, yeah, I enjoyed that, maybe with some caveats here or there. And Sean is just hard no or hard yes. I'm the hard no right now. Just, you know, I wanted to like it so much. I wanted to. You know what I guess I was expecting? I wanted to see the scene where Geralt, like, suits up. You know, like, wraps his fists in leather, aligns the silver studs, puts on his cloak.
Like Batman from Batman and Robin when he's like suiting up and the nipples are there and all is right with
without
the
the campy noises. Like, yeah, no, I don't need that. But
I like the campy noises, and I have made my own campy noises for many years. Little known fact about myself.
That is a little known fact. Damn.
I'm prone to pick things up and make a dramatic because it just enlivens my life, and it makes me seem more heroic, I feel.
Do all of your chest plates have nipples?
No, sadly, I don't have the budget. I don't have the nipple budget yet, but when Adam's check comes...
This is the second episode where Mike keeps thinking I'm sending him a check for doing all the social stuff. Because I gave him the title Director of Social Media.
You are, right? What do you mean thinking? You said that was a check?
Oh, shit, I shouldn't have said that.
You said the quiet part out loud.
I said the quiet part out loud. Oh, damn. This is we need like lapel mics so I can just whisper to the audience real quick instead of one mic.
Adam breaks the fourth wall.
I said when you proposed this thing, I said, well, there's only one reason anybody goes into podcasting, and that is to get rich.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
Clearly, it's working.
Yes,
for sure. Right? We talked about super yachts last episode.
Inflation? What inflation?
Yeah.
Gas prices? Pshaw.
Gas prices. We are so rich, we're insulated from those things.
That's a problem for my driver to figure out.
Exactly,
That's
yes.
right. He said to me, sir, it cost $300 to fill up the Lambo today. How in the world am I going to pay for this? And I said, that's what I pay you to figure out.
Were you using the black card? I mean, please.
Honestly.
Like, that's the card you use for all of your purchases?
Yeah.
Why must you bother me with this, Nigel?
Nigel.
Oh, you have a Nigel too? I don't actually know mine's name. He's just British.
I think the company is Nigel Incorporated, and I think that's just...
That makes more
Everyone
sense.
needs a Nigel.
All right. So maybe we can focus on something that I think we all probably enjoyed, which was the fighting scenes, right? I had a very... I expected, like, the very standard, like, broadsword fighting style, and what we got instead was, like, this pirouetting, like the books, this pirouetting sort of, like, twirling style, where Henry Cavill is spinning swords behind his back a lot. He's deflecting blows up by his shoulders. Musketeer style, but with not a foil.
No.
At all.
He's using like a two-handed like broadsword.
Yeah, and I did like I said, here's my deep dive, because I wanted to like a lot of this. Apparently he had to do a lot of like specific exercises to support like his posterior chain and his back and his legs, because that is a legit broadsword he's using, and so it's not a prop sword. Well, it's a prop sword, but it's not sharp. It's a real sword,
metal.
but it's not. It's a real metal sword. Thank you, but it's not sharpened. So the thing weighs poundage, and he's flinging it around like he has like massages on his forearms and his hands. Because after handling for that much and that many takes, he gets exhausted.
Not that you mentioned it, not that I was looking that closely, but you can definitely see his muscles rippling and straining at the movements of that sword.
And his nipples, though he's not wearing a breastplate. Sorry, I had to work that in there.
Your wife had pointed that out to you, I think you said.
Yeah.
You noticed that was some good character development there.
Well, let's just get this out of the way. Henry Cavill is a delight to watch.
He is. There's nothing wrong with that.
He's
a well-shaped human being.
He's a good-looking dude, and he carries that character very well.
Yeah, he does not need the latex and pleather of Superman to look like a superhero.
He also balances really nicely with Anya Charlotte's characters. Like she's a beautiful actress.
Yeah, why don't you talk a little bit more about that, please?
They really make a nice pairing on that. I found it interesting because we talked about the book in our last cast, but the description of Yennefer is very. It's like he hedges his bets on it almost. Like she's appealing. There's something about her that draws you in, but she's not necessarily beautiful in the traditional sense. Mm-hmm. Where I think in the Netflix show, she's beautiful. Yeah. But they also kind of delve more into her backstory about why she was a hunchback, and how in the short stories they kind of like allude to the fact that she's been modified by magic, but that the show gets very viscerally into it. Like she had to sacrifice her womb and her femininity basically to get this look, and that becomes a driving force for her character. And I think the actress, she does a wonderful job capturing all of the pathos that goes along with that. But she's beautiful too, and again, this is a show that really prides itself on the aesthetic. I think, and like everybody in this film or in this series is very, very Hollywood kind of like sense of fantasy. Like they're dressed like there's nothing period about the dress. Yeah. It's like, it's leather and open shirts and stuff, but it's like they all look like they could be swashbuckling one minute, or they're in the trenches for a medieval war movie in the next, or whatever. It's like all over the place. But somehow, in my opinion, it all just kind of works because you don't care about that.
Right. Yeah, a couple points I would make. First of all, I'll fulfill my usual role here and say I liked it.
I'm just kidding. It's because you're the most even-keeled person I know. And find the positive in things.
Is that a compliment?
It is.
All right.
It is. When you're let down by things like checks that don't appear in the mail, you're very even keel and don't take them as such a disappointment.
Mike is the American cheese of this cast.
Oh no, that's an insult. He's not right in the middle. He's a real human. American cheese is not real.
That was definitely not a compliment.
Now a check has to come your way from Sean.
Damn.
Or the settlement's in the mail. It's a non-disclosure.
I liked the show in the same way that I liked the book. I didn't find it to be anything particularly significant. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel that I was watching anything important or life-changing as I was watching it. I made the decision early that I was just going to be on board if it was entertaining and adventurous, and it was. It's the type of thing that, I enjoyed while I was watching it. I may go on and watch season 2. Will I ever, rewatch the show. I can't imagine how that would be possible. And, we'll just leave it at that. It was a good adventure. Yeah. It was fun. That's what it was. It was entertainment, and it worked that way.
I'm sorry I called you American cheese, Mike. I was just joking.
Did you is my pain that apparent in my face? I was trying to be even keeled. American cheese.
I was just ripping on what Adam said.
Is that a nice like a smoked Gouda or something?
Well, that's too passionate.
Is it?
Oh man. I'm gonna save us here. Okay, so do we feel like the episodic nature of the source material then kind of fed into how they filmed the series, in that every episode had its own little 5-minute digression, 10-minute digression, 15-minute digression, come back, and then I felt like for the 3 episodes I watched that sometimes they got tied back together, and sometimes they were just like, it's coming, dear watcher, just trust us, you're going to get it later.
And it does.
I don't know.
Okay, so you don't mind if we spoil it?
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean treat it as we know.
It does. They all do tie together. It's around episode 4 or 5, I think, where it finally clicks.
It figures that I stopped.
Yeah, just shy, honestly, you did. And you figure out, because of the story with the hedgehog guy or whatever he is in the castle, that, by the end of that, you realize, the blonde girl in the woods who's his destiny, you're like, oh, that's the law of surprise. That's the granddaughter of the queen. And then you start figuring out the timeline and where all these individual narratives are taking place and what they're leading up to. I don't remember if I heard this or if I read it somewhere, but this, while it seems like it sort of fishes spontaneously from the book and puts them in random places, The Last Wish. But I feel like I had read somewhere that it's actually, there's another book in the series that the first season is drawing from. That it's stories from both of those 2 books that are weaved into this first season.
Could it be that first one that we alluded to earlier in the cast? Because The Last Wish is technically the second book,
right?
It's the first chronologically.
I think it's one of the ones that's a series that came out with.
Sort of Destiny, I think, was the name of the book, if I remember correctly. Anyways, that was something that, the chronology of the thing does start to make sense, as you go through it.
That's one of the criticisms of the series was that they played around with time a lot. And in the stories that we get from The Last Wish, Ciri's not involved in any of this. She's just mentioned as what Geralt says he wants from saving that guy's life or whatever. And this whole show is built around this alternating points of view between Ciri and what's going on in Sintra and her escape, and what's happening with Geralt and Yennefer and all this stuff. And Geralt's storyline is all drawn from The Last Wish in various stories there, and Yennefer's is coming from, or not Yennefer, sorry, Ciri's is coming from one of the other things. And people kind of were lost on what's going on.
Yeah, and that is how I felt.
Right. It's the stuff with Geralt's all flashback, and him leading up to when his timeline aligns with Ciri. And then once you get to that point when it's that revelation, like you said, with the werewolf dude or whatever, and marrying Ciri's mom and everything, then you realize, oh shit, that's all backstory. What's happening now is her escaping from the ruins of Sintra and everything with Nilfgaard.
Yeah.
I almost want to say Nilfgaard attacking and
Nilfgaard. Yeah. All right. So I just should have kept going for another hour.
You still can.
I do like your take on the. That was a point I wanted to make before too. I like your take on the fight scenes. A huge pet peeve of mine in modern cinema is the sort of muddled, shaky cam, quick cut, garbage fight scenes that, so many... We talked about this during the Matrix cast, where they lost that beautiful choreography of the original trilogy and did that, shaky cam shit. And I remember in the first episode of The Witcher, when, he goes into the village toward the end of that episode and, all those... Renfrey, is that her name? All those people that are in her crew, her entourage, are waiting for him.
Yeah.
That thing was gorgeously choreographed. I mean, it was clear, it was coherent, it was crisp, it was a beautiful sword fighting scene.
And I thought that was well done. The way it's written in the book is beautiful too.
Yeah,
they had great source material to draw from.
Agreed.
And you're right, the execution is fantastic.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think when I watched that fight scene, I was like, oh my god, if every episode has a little of this, I am now hooked. Because I explicitly remember, like, Geralt, like, swinging his sword, tipped down through someone. He's essentially punching, but with his sword. And he explodes the person's head in two.
Oh yeah,
It just goes.
Because it goes in and then he like flicks it back and it like
Yeah, he just flicks it straight up. But like
that was cool.
The way the scene's shot, Geralt is center right, and the other person's the other third of the frame, and so you're kind of focused on you're deciding where to look at that point, and he just punches through him like, oh my god, I've never seen medieval fighting like this.
Very Tarantino-like.
This is hot shit right now, immediately. That whole fight scene was amazing.
Yeah, very well done.
And if more of that comes, I could watch, the other 12 without the
There
issue.
are more well choreographed fight scenes. I think that's a high mark for the series.
Yeah.
Fair.
You can see they're definitely trying to catch the headwind from Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that series sort of sets the tone for any kind of medieval-based fantasy TV genre tropes or whatever. And you definitely know they're trying to catch that audience with this particular show. Like, hey, Netflix, hey, look, we got something similar. Check this out. That's probably why they greenlit the whole thing, was because of how successful Game of Thrones was.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah, and Netflix needed a lookalike.
Yeah, but I think it stands on its own, too.
It does.
It doesn't necessarily have to live in the shadow or in that vein. It could be its own thing. And I think the people who they got to make this show realized that they needed to pander a little bit, but also tell their own story. And I think they did a good job.
And there's a little bit of heaviness to this, but not to nearly the same extent as Game of Thrones. Like, I think that the tone they're going for is the tone we talked about in the last cast from the book. It's an adventure, and it feels very adventurous and questy the whole time, which is another way that distinguishes it from Game of Thrones. But aesthetically, it definitely resembles that and was undoubtedly greenlighted for the same reason.
I think we didn't mention the Dandelion character in the last cast.
Yeah.
No, we didn't, and I like Dandelion.
What was his name in the TV show? Isn't it like Jasper or something? Or
yeah.
Like they changed the name. I think they should have kept the Dandelion.
Right.
But he's hilarious.
Yep.
Whenever that guy's on scene, you just want to be like, more of that dude.
Right from the beginning, when they're all like jeering him in the bar, and he's like, I'm just glad I can bring you all together like this.
Yeah. And I remember seeing that he's singing in the corner, and he sang some sort of more contemporary song on his lyre.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. This is cool. But then again, I got lost in the time hopping and the disjointed nature of the thing. Because I guess, again, I expected to be more of Last Wish linear, not mixed in with other things. Because right after that, you get them going to, if you read The Last Wish, the edge of civilization, Dandelion and Geralt, and you run into the Sylvan.
Right.
And all that jazz. They get shot in the head with those metal beads and all that everything. So, I don't know.
There's a lot of things they're conflating in the series that I think they're trying to rush a story.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ciri and her whole thing plays no role in all these Last Wish stories, and yet the TV show keeps forcing her, like the one with the Striga.
Mm-hmm.
Ciri's there. Why is she there? She shouldn't be there. She wasn't there in the thing. The thing with and I might be in the season 2 at this point, but the Beauty and the Beast guy with his enchanted mansion there that does everything for him. Yeah. I believe there's an episode in season 2 where it's Ciri's there with him again. And it's like inserting her into the story unnecessarily, but at the same time, it doesn't really not work.
Right.
It's just if you're a reader of the books and watching the show, you might go like, what the fuck? But
which is what I did. I didn't even get that far. It would have messed with me worse. But all right, I'll be the naysayer. That's fine.
It's okay. You play that role well.
Here we go. All right. It is time for the lightning round, guys. This went by fast.
Sure did.
Real quick, I just gotta say, I don't know if you guys are noticing, but I'm getting like a spicy aftertaste on my lips from this beer. Like I just had some wings or something. Like this is interesting.
I keep glancing at your glasses and like forcing myself to slow down because this is very tasty and I am enjoying it.
There is another bottle available,
and you don't have to drive anywhere.
I'm keenly aware of that. That is wonderful.
Yep. So, in the lightning round, we are going to feature 3 questions. First one to ding in gets to answer. I'm going to pass over the bell that I was just hitting, right? And you do have to answer correctly in order to earn a point. If you're keeping track when it comes to the Last Wish, the Witcher series-based competitions here, last one was a draw. So, this goes to your pride, John.
I think we're pretty even in the series.
Mike has had a string of wins the past few episodes.
He's drawn right up there.
Or at least moral victories. I don't know.
No, I think you straight up kicked my ass several times.
Really?
Last couple, yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm certainly not going to argue with you.
Yeah. I mean, if you're listening, people out there, go back to the Matrix. Go back to what was the other
all
one?
of our casts and listen to them.
All the casts, but I was going to do a chronological.
I mean, honestly, that is what you should do in order to tabulate, results. So
if you
download them all.
Yeah, listen carefully to all of our casts, especially the lightning round. There are clues hidden throughout all of them that will lead you to a treasure.
There you go.
Which is a special invitation to the inaugural party on the super yacht when we first set out to sea. So
We'll
yachts.
we'll send the GPS coordinates to
That's
you,
right.
and you have to meet us.
That'll be an exclusive guest list.
You may have to download us and listen to us in reverse, and then put it in a mirror.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense. Let's do this.
No, yeah. Ready? All right, so first person to ring in here. What type of creature is Torque? Sean?
A Sylvan.
He is. I would have also accepted devil or devil, as they pronounce it. Devil. All right. Number 2. What is the first task Yennefer has to pass to be accepted?
Oh, fuck.
Oh, Mike got in fast.
She has to lift a stone.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
She has to lift a stone, and that's when you learn that in magic, something always has to be given.
Damn, unfair.
Oh,
I watched the series last year, so this is like...
not fair.
You had a month.
This is rigged.
Damn.
You had
rigged.
a month.
That's when she was a hunchback.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Damn, she did a good job, by the way. Real quick, the actress played her as a, differently abled person, or whatever they call her, hunchback. But the prosthetics and the way she plays it is so good.
She did. She was a real highlight in the series, I thought. Even post transformation, there's times where you love her as a character, and there's times where you hate her.
Absolutely.
Like she seems like a protagonist and an antagonist at various times. I thought that there was a lot of great acting in the series. She was a highlight for sure.
I think she actually she outshined Cavill in many of the scenes where they share the screen.
Cavill, is very physically charismatic. You know what I mean? He's got like the charisma to carry that like ancient warrior role. And he's got the voice to talk like this the entire time.
He's a great stoic.
A point that I wanted to make, by the way,
we'll let you go back.
I totally forgot about. So,
we are distraught because the microphone just fell off its boom.
I told you, man, these roadies are not working out, man. We got to fire these guys.
It's a good thing they don't manage our super yachts.
It's a good thing Bill's not here. He would be really pissed.
Oh, he would have found that very unprofessional.
Mr. Murray would not stand.
He's always very clear on this when he is here. No, I think what point was I making? I was only making this point because it reminded me of a discussion we had during the Gideon cast where there's so much of like the lofty gothiness that would then be balanced out by Gideon's modern parlance, and that was one of my favorite aspects of this TV version of The Witcher, because you had so much of that high fantasy stuff going on. And then you'd have Geralt himself would just whenever something bad was about to happen, he would just go, fuck. Or there's that part where he walks in and like all that mist is coming out because he's going to see like Yennefer for the first time, and there's like that orgy bath thing happening. Yeah. And just all that fog comes creeping out, and you just hear him go like, the fuck. Like, every time he did that, I thought that was great.
Good shit.
Yeah, all right. I got to keep watching. You guys are selling me on this. I'll go back.
We have to do like an addendum in the next cast where Adam does a revisit.
Adam fixes his mistake. Here we go. All right. We've stalled long enough. Are you ready for the last question?
Wait, where are we at with this?
Tied.
It is tied again. This is the second episode in a row.
It's like the Sabres here. It just keeps coming down to the wire.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. How much was Yennefer sold for? You do have to be correct.
$4. 6.
Oh wait, really? You get more than one guess?
No, I'm deliberating how I want to respond. Sean, what is your reply?
Can I hear the entire question, please?
How much was Yennefer sold for?
I don't know.
All right, I got to give it to Mike. It was 4 marks. That was my only marks.
I was so confident about the 4, and then
you had the 4.
You had that pause in that face, and I'm like,
you need to give that to him. He
That's
got
fine.
he got
That's
the
fine.
number right.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
yes.
The only thing that would have made me give it to Sean is if he was like
if he said
4 marks
No.
and the dad wanted 6 bits.
Whatever
the other
I
one
can't.
was.
I watched it so long ago. I
Yeah.
cannot be that
All right.
specific.
Mike
All
gets
right.
a straight-out win. There you
Yeah.
go.
Hell yeah.
There you go. All right. So we've come to the point in the cast, gents, where we have to make a decision here. Are we going to recommend this? I think I know where you stand. I've already been converted. I'm going to say I'm going to go back and finish it. Or at least season 1.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought Netflix did a good job. It's not something I think anyone needs to rush out to see.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it's a huge loss if you don't see it at all. But it's entertaining, and that's all. And if that's what you're looking for, then see it.
Yeah, I agree. It's just good entertainment. There's nothing groundbreaking or profound. It's just something fun to watch.
Sure. I think the one caveat I would add is be prepared to watch it and pay attention as you watch the episodes. It's not a multitasking show, I don't think.
True.
Because of the time hopping between the storylines and that sort of thing.
Also, if you want to
got
see
me.
beautiful people softcore fuck.
That is, I hate to say it, but this is exactly where I thought, like, oh, they're trying to be Game of Thrones.
Exactly, yep.
Because that's exactly what it was. Where, like, Yennefer's on top of, what's his name?
Geralt.
Not Garrett, no.
The other magician.
The other magician.
Yeah.
And she makes, like, the crowd appear.
Yes.
And they're, like, clapping for them.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. I'm like, oh, wow, that's like a snarky take on the Game of Thrones aspect.
I can say, though, that the series does mature quite a bit. In the
Okay.
second season, it doesn't really go there anymore. It's like they did what Game of Thrones did. Oh, we've tantalized you, or we've titillated you.
Titillated you.
Yeah, so now it's time for
not
us to be more
titillated?
mature.
Yeah.
Titillated. Speaking of that word, put me in mind of what I thought was the high point of the entire series.
Sure.
And I'm being heavily ironic here.
Oh, okay.
So this is toward the very end of the last episode, and it's right before Yennefer goes like apeshit on everybody and burns the fuck out of everything. And it's when she's talking to the rectress. That's her title, right? And the rectress is like badly injured and or dying and delivers what is supposed to be one of the most inspirational moments, but is one of the most unintentionally hilarious moments in the entire series. She looks at Yennefer with an incredibly dramatic face, and there's a dramatic pause, and she says, "Let your chaos explode all over everything."
Oh, God, it's a bad orgasm.
And you can picture
It's a bad orgasm.
tens of thousands of American boyfriends and husbands turning to their wives and girlfriends with a shit-eating grin.
Oh,
Hey,
no.
honey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm covering my face in my hand.
And she does. She covers them all in her chaos.
She does let her chaos explode everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know how to recoup from that. I'm having a tough time.
You can't, Adam.
No.
You can't.
You've just done it.
Damn.
So, yeah. All right. So that's 2 yeses and then I'm going back. But make sure you're not multitasking on that one. All right. Thank you so much for listening. This is Nerds of the Old Republic. We'd love it if you gave us a rating wherever you listen. It really just helps. Find us on Good Pods.
Should we be like a Home Depot thing? Like survey only 5 stars.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started.
We will re-record this podcast as many times as it takes to get your 5-star review.
I will drink as many Dragon's Milk beers as I need to in order to make this perfect.
Second that.
Yeah.
Yeah, third.
All right. So, thanks very much for listening. We are Nerds of the Old Republic. Find us at Nerds of Old Republic. And keep it nerdy, y'all. Cheers.
Cheers.